Hello everyone and welcome to another Remnant 2 video. In today's video, we're going over my first build for you all. I've had a lot of builds over the course of my gameplay, but once I got to Apocalypse, it was pretty apparent that I needed something substantial and something that was going to allow me to take some pretty decent damage as well as pump out some damage and be a good teammate. As you can see from my other content, I almost always run handler. I have 3 dogs myself, and I really enjoy the aspect of having a dog out there helping me in the fight. So I almost never take off handler. I like having the good boy next to me, and we call him Commander. So if you hear me reference Commander in the rest of this video, that's what I'm talking about, my good boy over there. And I call this build my handler tank build because, as you can see on screen, I'm able to really tank some substantial damage as well as heal myself through my skills, heal my teammate through healing shot, and also heal the summons and my dog through healing shot, as well as being able to pump out some pretty decent DPS through my turret, my mods, etc. It's a pretty easy gameplay loop. You're able to essentially, once you take some damage, you pop your turret, you get your health back, and essentially it keeps healing you throughout its life while it's deployed. Your dog will also, Mr. Commander, will also heal you throughout while he's out and attacking others. He's obviously able to also res you or down teammates, and when you get into the bind, you can pop this healing shot for some additional damage. We use the Relic here on screen, the shield relic, to give ourselves some additional leeway and essentially some breathing room while our turret does its thing and brings our health back, as you can see on screen now. So if this build sounds like something that interests you, we're going to go over the details right now. But first, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more content from myself. We're doing a lot of Remnant 2 right now. Thank you all so much. Without further ado, let's go over the details. Alright, so here we are in game, and before we get into the build, I just want to preference this with that builds are guides, everybody. Just like recipes, builds are guides, and they are meant to be changed. So change this to your playstyle. I think it's a great base. It's a relatively easy build to use, but gear it towards your playstyle. If you're not doing the hardest difficulty, you don't need the heaviest armor, okay? But let's first start off with the archetypes. We have the handler and the engineer, as said before. We are also using the support dog for the healing, but you could also use the attack dog for some added damage if you don't think you need that additional healing. I've used both with good success. I want to point out the pack hunter trait here, which gains 30% ranged and skill damage and 5% ranged and skill critical chance while the companion active within 40 meters of the player. That actually does apply to the engineer as well in the overall stats when we look at that later. Engineer, we are using the Vulcan cannon. I think this one's just the most applicable, but you could also use the flamethrower and use a flame ring. Use that flame ring. They grant you more flame or fire damage, and this could be an alternative for you as well. I want to point out the metal worker here. This increases skill damage by 50% and critical chance by 10%. And I want to point out one more here. This one here, using a relic, refills 15% of heavy weapon ammo. Bonus is doubled with heavy weapon is stowed. So every time we use that shield relic to kind of get us back into the game or give us a few minutes of breathing room, it's going to give us more ammo for our heavy weapon, which then essentially, 30% when it's stowed is nothing to laugh at. So you can pretty much put it out right after you use your relic. So that's kind of the gameplay route. Hit your shield, put out your engineer, your turret, let it turret heal you. Okay. Obviously, fortify and kingship are maxed out, and as always, with the kingship, you have the 80% damage reduction to friendly fire, so that helps a lot when I'm using the Firestorm mod. So if we look at the weapons, I'm using the pulse rifle. I'm using this frankly just because I can equip a mod of my choice and the mutator of my choice. I'm using the Firestorm. I do like the cyclone effect and kind of that holds them in there. It again gives me a few minutes of breathing room if I need it. Okay. Also does a whopping amount of damage, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm using the Firestorm. Feedback helps me get that mod back even quicker, and it keeps it flowing. Melee weapon doesn't matter. I'm using the Rupture Cannon here. Again, you can use whatever you want, but I'm using the Rupture Cannon because I think it hits pretty hard, and it's easy to use, and reloads relatively quickly, and I like that I can have my own mod and my own mutator. So I'm using the healing shot. Not only can I heal myself, I can heal my dog, I can heal my teammate, I can heal my teammate's summons. I can do a lot of healing to keep everyone in the game if we need to. So I'm trying to be a good teammate here as well by using the healing shot, but you could use whatever you want. Harmonizer, again, just increasing that mod damage of the Firestorm, as well as just getting that those mods back even quicker. For the Relic, as we talked about before, I'm using the Shielded Heart. Gives me a shield. Right, it's relatively quick to use as well. Gives me that shield and then gives me a little bit of breathing room. Okay, I'm also using 3 of the Relic fragments in the healing effectiveness, skill damage, and skill cooldown. Obviously, those can all be upgraded still to make the build even better. For an amulet, I'm using the Ankh of Power. This, again, is just a huge damage increase to you. There are some other options you can use here, but I do like this one because it's just a passive 15, and every time I use my Relic to give me that little bit of breathing room, I get a 30%, and that's damage to my turret, damage to my dog, damage to myself. That is damage output from everything. I'm using the Bright Steel Ring. Again, if you don't have the heaviest armor, you don't need this, and you can use whatever you want. The Stone of Continuance, I'm using this because it gives my heal for my dog another added 6 seconds of duration. But again, this could be switched out. It does not actually, unfortunately, does not give me any more time with my turret or more ammo or anything like that. Soul Link, this is what heals you. Okay, we're also going to talk about traits where that heals you as well. But this heals you too, giving you 5% of base damage dealt to the wearer returned as health. So that's damage from the dog, damage from your turret, back to you as 5% health. And then finally, the Stone of Balance increases all damage by 7%. Now, some other options here for the rings, I want to point these out. First one, you could run, instead of maybe the Stone of Continuance or the Bright Steel Ring, maybe the Soul Guard Ring, when you gain a stack of Bulwark for each active summon. That's, again, your dog and your thing, so that's 10% damage reduction. You could also run the Hardcore Metal Band, and that says taking damage as 1 stack of Bulwark, which individually falls off after 10 seconds. You max out at 5 stacks. Again, giving you some more survivability, especially if you're not wearing the heaviest armor. Also, the Kinetic Cycle Stone increases mod and skill cast speed by 20%. Sometimes that turret feels like it takes forever to come out, right? Feels like it takes forever. Getting this an extra 20% drops that thing down really quickly, and you're able to get out of harm's way. So just a thought. And finally, if you have completed it on Apocalypse mode, consider the Devoured Loop. This critical hits have 1% chance to reset skill cooldowns, can only occur once every 10 seconds, increases all incoming damage by 10%. Sure, I'm going to take a little bit more damage, but I'm going to get my skills back a lot quicker. I know it only says 1%, but we did some testing with this, and it actually comes back. It gives my dog my heal back from my turret very quickly and with good consistency. Don't sleep on it if you have completed Apocalypse. Moving on, looking at the advanced stats, I'm not going to read off all of these, but we do have some decent critical damage here, decent range damage, also ranged crit chance, 5%, not bad. Skill damage is up from 87%, and skill crit chance at 15%. Healing effectiveness, I'm added 5%. So, in lifesteal, I do have a 3% lifesteal as well. So those are really the only one that I point out. I do have an AoE size for my traits as well, which we'll get into right now. And I'll leave these up on the side of the screen so you can look at them as we go. So, I obviously, like you said, Fortify and Kingship are maxed out. Vigor is maxed out for health. Endurance is maxed out for stamina. Moving on, we have Spirit maxed out for mod power generation, just bringing those mods back, that healing shot, Firestorm back even quicker. Skill cooldown, essential in getting your ammo back in the gun, in the turret, and getting that heal back from your dog. Amplitude is AoE size. If you aren't running the Firestorm, you don't need this, but I had some points left over and I thought I could use them, so I put them into the AoE size. Bark Skin, this is good. 5% added damage reduction. If you don't have this, put it in here. Get an 8%. Perfect, right? Recovery, you could also put some points in here if you want. More stamina regen's good. Rugged, give my summons some more health, so I'm gonna give my dog some health. Siphoner, added 3% lifesteal. Again, just keeping myself healing, always coming in, even if it's passive and you know, just by me shooting. Keep that healing coming in. And that's it for the traits, everybody. And that's the build. You can see the traits here as well on the side. Any questions, put them in the comments below. If you do have other suggestions, please consider putting those in comments below as well. I love build crafting with people, and I'm gonna try to do a couple more build videos. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more content from myself, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great night. Bye-bye.